Welcome to the Engineer Muscle Podcast number 10, guys. Today we have myself, Coach Mo, and Coach Madison. Today we'll be talking about some really fun topics. And one of the fun topics is most of you know about Tom Platz and how he was known for such aesthetics and beautiful legs. We'll be talking about how he got there, what it took to get there. And then we'll also be diving more into food sensitivities and how to best overcome those. So, Madison, you ready?
Oh, hell yeah. Love talking about Tom.
So tell me, like, how much, what inspired you to learn more about Tom Platz and his methodologies? Because he's way before our time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember what brought me to him originally. Actually, maybe it was through John Meadows. If I remember, I can't remember exactly, but I might have heard it, some of his stuff through them. But Tom was way ahead of his time. Like Tom, if you ever hear Tom talk about training stuff, he's very knowledgeable. He knows all about how the muscle works, the myosin, actin, proteins. He knows all about the strength of the centric versus the isometric versus the concentric. So he was very, very ahead of his time. He was a smart dude, and he was also a very, very hard worker, and also a very passionate dude, which is one of the reasons. So he's known for two things, right? His extraordinary leg development, and also for being for how he would talk and being an extremely passionate person and a knowledgeable person and a madman in the gym. And that's what he really became very well known for. And I think to this day, he still has like probably the best set of wheels in bodybuilding history.
Best set of wheels. That's some old school lingo right there. I was watching a video of Lee Haney talk last night, and he's like, yeah, right now we need to focus more on the wheels. Like he's like, the wheels are what makes a bodybuilder. And at first I was like, yeah, what does he mean by the wheels? And then it just hit. I was like, legs. So Lee Haney was talking about how back in his day when he was just starting, he went to a gym, I think the World's Gym here in LA, and like he had like a great upper body, and like another famous person was there. So the coach asked the famous person to look at Lee Haney's physique, and the famous person comes and he's like, hey, why don't you pull your pants up? Let me see what's down there. And he looked at his legs. Lee Haney was like, he walked all around me, and he goes, you're going places. And leg development has been such a fundamental to creating these old school physiques, and nowadays I think we're kind of going the other way where and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I always talk about it, like we can learn from both, right? Like right now a lot of guys, I can like think of four Instagrammers who just do not train legs, and they openly talk about it.
Well, that's a bro thing, right? There's everybody who talks about skipping leg day and bailing on leg day because, well, I mean, leg day is the hardest day. It's the most leg day is when you put yourself to the real test. And I want to talk about that more later when we start talking about Tom. But and also it's like for most bros, they do like chest and biceps, right? It's the glamour muscles is what you show off. Legs are a hardcore muscle. Legs take the most work, and they also give the most reward. And for bodybuilding, you don't have a complete physique without legs, because a good set of legs they have a very flaring sweep, and it makes your waist look smaller too, and it starts building that X frame that they talk about in bodybuilding, because you have the wide shoulders that come in with the V taper right into the small waist, and then boom, shoots back out with the big sweeping legs. And that wasn't really even a thing before Tom. So Tom was the first person to really have these extraordinary legs, which really set the standard going forward in bodybuilding. After that, it was a standard. And for most talking about Lee Haney, for those that don't know, Lee Haney was an 8-time Mr. Olympia, and one of the best in history. He's tied with Ronnie Coleman for the most wins of Mr. Olympia ever, and was a fantastic bodybuilder.
Phil Heath, on the other hand, how many did he win? 7?
7, because he lost this year to Sean.
Yeah.
This was his record tying year.
Yeah, and then Arnold was 7 too.
Arnold was 7-2. Arnold did 6. Um, he retired after pumping iron with 6, and then he came back in 1980. After I think it was like prior to or right after filming Conan, he made a comeback and won. And that one was a little controversial, but that was his 7th.
Did he win?
He did win. Yeah, that was his 7th. Yep.
Goddamn Arnold. Fucking love him. And then like Franco Colombo, did he win any?
Yes, Franco won. I'm pretty
I
sure
think
he won. He won. I think he won at least 2.
yeah. Franco
After Arnold retired, he won. I know Zane won. I'm pretty sure Zane won 1.
Frank Zane, dude. That's like
Samir Banu, who I don't know if you've seen him, the Lebanon Lion, also
yes.
another super classic, really wonderful physique.
No, but Frank Zane, we're talking about legs. Talk about the upper body of Frank Zane. Like that
Well,
that was beautiful. Like you look at that physique and you're like, damn.
that's
Every
kind of like what the men's physique look is now, right? Because Zane was pretty small for bodybuilding standards. It was just very it was much more like a Greek statue. It was more like when you
right.
look at well, I guess or Renaissance when they imitated the Greeks, like the David. That like his proportions are much more like that, whereas a lot of other bodybuilders or have a lot more size to them. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Like Arnold had a lot of size. Like even I mean, not a lot, but he was like up there. The
Well, that's
thing,
why he over because well, with that that's why he overpowered. He beat Zayn a whole bunch of times because of that, right? Because he was bigger than him. Because it is bodybuilding too, so that's part of the sport.
and I love it. I know engineered muscle. We don't talk about this much, but guys, this is our like this is what I watch on Saturday nights and Friday nights. Like if I'm not out.
This is my sport.
Yeah, like there's something like yesterday I was telling all my clients when I was watching that video of Tom Platz. I sent it to all of my clients and I was like in the group and I was like, guys, a really good test for this week would be get underneath the bar and do as many reps as you can with 135, as many as you can. And then I was giving them an example of my 22nd birthday when we did my body weight times the number of years as my reps. So I was 165 at the time, and I squatted 22 times because that was my 22nd birthday. And bro, when I finished that, I looked to my friend Logan who was recording it, and he looks at me. He's like, "I'm so sorry, bro. I forgot to record." And so
You gotta do it again. You gotta do it heavier
I
now.
do it again. So I did it again. So 44 reps with 170, and my clients are looking at me like, dude, we've never done that. And I'm like, yeah, you can do it and you should do it. And there's something about it, like right now, and this is why this podcast is so amazing because we can actually talk about both of those things. Like science, literally, people use science to do the least amount of work possible. Like I see this a lot where they're like, yeah, this new study came out and that's like, this is no more effective. And I'm like, yeah, but you've also fucked up your intensity now. And the lower your workout intensity is, the less likely you are to get results. Like I was just telling my clients the other day on the call and I was like, guys, like, do you guys know those bros in the gym who don't know half the shit you guys know in terms of science, but they get better results? They're like, yeah, everybody knows those guys. And I'm like, yeah, you know why? Because they don't overthink it. They know to gain muscle, they have to eat steak and they have to drink these protein shakes at least twice a day. And they're like, they pack it up. Whereas you guys know about the anabolic window and you're like, it doesn't exist. I can eat whenever. And you kind of just keep.
That's a little bit.
No, but like you hear me, right? Like people.
No,
Like
I'm
that.
just saying the facts. Going too much into the science is again, it's a pitfall because you got to look at the applicability of the study and bro science isn't necessarily bad science. Science just needs to be doesn't have to be traditional done in a lab and stuff to be valid science. to be valid science, all that means is you have to follow the scientific method. And the good old OGs, that's what they did. It was the original lab. It wasn't published, right? But they tested it. They had a hypothesis. Okay, if I do this exercise like this, I think this is going to happen. And they do it. They test it, right? And then they see the results and they analyze it, right? They follow the scientific method. It's like, okay, well, this actually happened, or whatever. Well, this is really sore. So this grew. So not all booger science is bullshit.
No.
First off,
and I think learning to combine it.
It's not even not science either.
And learning to combine the two is so powerful. That's what makes you like dangerous in the world of bodybuilding. And it's just, yeah, like I was telling my clients that I was like, guys, like, it's not about who knows the most. It's about who actually does the most. Like you guys, some of you are taking it too easy. Like you love the macros, you love the calories, but at the end of the day, some of you are not eating enough. And like my clients are like some really good people. Like a lot of them are gaining great results. They're getting shredded. Like, 'cause I work with a lot of six-pack abs guys. And what's fascinating is that a lot of the time we let science give us too much leeway. We are like, yeah, I can eat whenever. I'll just like pack all my calories in for the night and my dinner. And I'm just like, that's good. But then what signal are you giving your body throughout the day? Because some of you are trying to gain size, right? And it's just like starting to think that way is a game changer for a lot of people. And that's why I love talking about Tom Platz, because watching his video last night, it was like a 1 hour of him training one of his clients in Switzerland on leg day. And
yeah, I've seen that one, Hoff.
Yeah, David Hoffman. And it was just like science. It was also just fucking go till you puke attitude. Like,
right. Well, yeah, because the thing is also with science, you have to look at like how deep are you looking, right? So yes, how much calories you're taking in matters, but that's on one scale. But if you look, the more precise you want to get, right, it might yield less results than the how many calories, but what you eat, when you eat it, right, and how your body varies with its circadian rhythm, and like there's so many layers you can start diving and get more and more precise with. So there's like a global layer. Like if you do this stuff, you'll get stuff. And then you do this, like you're not going to get as much as you got out of here, but you're going to get more. And then you're going to get more. And you get less and less out of those further layers, but you get more overall. So you can dive really deep into a lot of this stuff and into the science and the application of the science, depending on how far down the rabbit hole you go. For more beginners and intermediates, you only need to go 1 or 2 steps down that hole. But as you get more and more advanced, the deeper down that hole you go, and the more precise you get with everything, including the timing. And that's why bodybuilders and people get distracted by this, because they see the bodybuilders doing these things that they need to do for that advanced level to be able to get the most. Because when they go on stage and they go to compete against somebody else, 2% makes a big difference. If they're 2% better than the person next to them, they're going to win, right? But 2% for someone else doesn't mean for someone who's just kind of beginner doesn't mean shit. But when you're a couple years into this, you might need to take a couple extra steps down that path, maybe not as far, but you're going to get that much more. So the nutrient timing, having protein readily available to grow, just being able to match your circadian rhythm a little bit better. And then where this conversation is going is intensity. Intensity is one of the most important driving factors. If your intensity isn't high enough, it doesn't matter what you do, period. There is a minimum intensity threshold, and then you need to be able to drive that intensity up as high as you can without burning out. As long as you don't there is a threshold where you start to get too much and start to take its toll on you, but you want to be able to push that pedal. And the thing is, you don't know how far, because here's the thing, another thing I see a lot today. A lot of guys are afraid of overtraining, and they hear this term thrown around, oh, I don't want to overtrain. And you'll see them in the gym, and they're like, they don't train like shit. And then you ask them, like, oh, I don't want to overtrain. Well, how do you even know what overtraining is if you've never done it? So you got to do it and see where that line is to be able to know where it is. So it's worth overtraining once or twice in your life to kind of learn where that is for you, because it's different for everybody too.
Once or twice a month, bro.
What?
Once or twice a month. Life is too long. No, like, and my point is, once you find that line,
I mean, you don't want to overtrain, right? Because you're holding you're holding back your potential of real. Well, I'm talking real overtraining. So overtraining is a point where you're incapable of recovering anymore, and you're doing more damage than you can recover from. So you always want to go like right up to that line without crossing it. That's ideal. But if you don't know where that line is, and you're always training at say 70% towards that line, you're leaving the most important parts on the table, because as you get closer to the line, how much you get back from it is higher. And that's the thing with intensity, and that's what we're going to start going into with Tom, is when you get close to that level, when you get right to that breaking point, which is often way farther than we think it is, that's where the magic happens.
And I'll add just 2 things to that. So one, yeah, like take yourself there. Intensity fucking matters. And bro, like now we're talking about some other layers too, right? So like your intensity cannot be as high if you don't fucking know how to squat well. Like, right? So it's just like it's layers upon layers of technique. So guys, for you, those of you that are complete beginners, start going to the gym, because it's going to take a few years before you even like get the most out of one set. Like, most people think it's quiet. Yeah, most people think they just walk into the gym and all of a sudden they're experts. No, it's like that's just the beginning. It's kind of like learning to swim. You don't become a swimmer by just jumping in the pool. You just become a swimmer by doing it again and again and again and again and again. And second thing I'll say, so there's I won't name names, but there's this company that's really powerful, not powerful, but really famous right now, and they build waist trimmers for women. And waist trimmers, like basically you just put them around your waist, and you put them on during the workout, so then you sweat a lot more, and everybody thinks that's, the more they sweat, they make it look very scientific. So the reason I bring it up, last week I was talking to a girl, and she's like, Mo, do you know about this company? I was like, yeah, I've heard of them. She's like, they're hiring that girl for marketing for international audiences. And that chick is like really popular. Like she's really good at what she does, especially in digital marketing. And I was like, yeah, I've heard of them. She's like, they're making it, but she also has 6-pack abs. Like she's shredded. Like she knows health and fitness like in a real way. And I was like, she's like, dude, they're making it sound so scientific, but it's literally you put a fucking cream on your stomach and put that belt on, and they think they're burning calories. And I'm like, that's funny. And then at first I was like, that's just a bunch of bullshit. They're just like making using people for the scam. And then not an hour goes by that I see another girl on Instagram, someone I know. She posts a picture of her trimmer, her waist trimmer, and it was so like sweaty. She's like, the workout was so great today and all of that. I started thinking, at first I was like, it's a bunch of bullshit. The moment I paused, I realized that waist trimmers help people with intensity, because there's that motivation to make that thing sweat like a mofo, that you just keep pushing, and you keep pushing. As a result, your intensity goes up. As a result, you get better results. But it's not a direct causation of the belt or the trimmer, but it is as a result of the intensity. And
right.
It hit me. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that kind of goes to talk about the placebo effect. They've had studies where they've given guys sugar pills and told them that it was steroids, and they got steroid-like gains off of those pills because they believed that they would, right? And the placebo effect is so real and so powerful, and like you see it across the board. If you look into science, this is the thing. That's why that double-blind placebo-controlled studies are that's the gold standard for stuff, because you need to be able to rule out the placebo effect, because it's so powerful. And the thing is, if you realize that, you can mind fuck yourself into having a positive placebo effect for a lot of things. And yeah, I just wanted to add that to that. And then for the intensity, everybody, if you're serious about building muscle, first off, you should watch Tom Platz train. You should watch Dorian Yates train. You should watch some of these guys that train with this ridiculous intensity, because I'm guarantee you've never seen anything like that in your life. And when you look at your own training, it won't compare by a mile. And because also if you ask, and then about the layers, if you ask Tom Platz, how do you build muscle? He says you do heavy weights for high reps. So
He
then
said that. Yeah.
he means doing like 300 for sets of 30, 40 plus, right? Sets of 400 for 30 reps. Like he means heavy weights and he means high reps. He means like 20 plus when he says high. When he says high reps, that's what he means. But you can't do that as a beginner, right? You can't do that if your squat sucks. But also, like, you need to be able to get your strength to a certain level. You need to get your ability to do reps to a certain level. And so when you're a beginner, you just kind of stack those over before you can actually merge the two. But when you are able to merge the two, there's some extraordinary magic there. But be able to take a set like that. So I've done 300 for 20. It is rough, but it's also amazing. The effects that it gives you is absolutely amazing. But I had to build up to that. I started I chose to start a progression of I want to be able to progress on how many reps, how much weight I can do for 20s. So the first week I started with bar in a 35. I did 3 sets of 20 with just that, and that was really fucking hard that first week. And then I think I was going every other week, I believe. I don't think it was every week. Every other week I'd add 5 pounds when it came time to do my 20s. And then I slowly was able to build up over time to doing in the 200s and then eventually up around 300. But the point is you got to build to a lot of that stuff, and that kind of goes to the layers.
Then Madison hit 300. He knew he was a Spartan. No, but that's gold, bro, because it's kind of like, you know how the like wearing accessories like weight belts or knee sleeves, things like that.
Yeah.
Those things by themselves aren't gonna get you more gains. But it's just like, you know, we had Alberto Nunez, a pro bodybuilder and a very well-known figure in natural bodybuilding. We had him on like for one of our previous podcasts, and Alberto talked about.
Check it out if you haven't already.
You better, like, that one was a gold podcast. But remember, like, who was the bodybuilder he was referring to who wears a tracksuit?
Platz.
Was it Platz? Yeah. So, Berto was telling us how Tom Platz, like, he would walk into the gym with a tracksuit on, and his real sets did not start until that tracksuit was off. So he would, like, warm up, and then when it came time to do some real working sets, he would be down in his like shorty shorts. And that's when, you know, Tommy was going to church for that. Like, that's like, he was going to town with those sweats.
It's funny that you say that he's going to church, because that's exactly how Tom would say it. He would say that the squat rack is your church and the squat bar is your place of prayer. And that's exactly, if you go listen to him talk, that's exactly how he describes it. The squat rack is his altar, and that's where he says life and death happens here. And just look, I recommend everybody, I'll do my best to remember and speak, but I recommend everyone to go out there and listen to Tom actually speak this stuff. But he talks about the squat with such a reverence, and he said also about it being life or death, and he's so passionate and strong, and that's what he puts into those sets. So when he's going on those, so like some of his records, for instance, we come out high reps and high weight. So some of the records, to the best of my recollection, he's done 225 for 10 minutes straight on squats, 315 for, I believe it was 60 something reps, 405 for either 30 or 40 reps, and then had 525 for 22 reps. Which is about, and I forget the time.
He actually did talk about that, and he said he never went above, like, his maximums were like 700-800 in squats, and he tried to unrack 1,000 and he just couldn't do it. But he's like it's not about that one rep that gets you size. He's like, and I mean, yeah, he's like high reps. He's like, high reps is where the money is at. He kept saying that high reps is where the money is at, but it has to be high weight too. And dude, like, if for a beginner who literally goes to church every Thursday on leg day and starts with doing as many reps as possible with 135. In all honesty, that could be such a good starting point for a lot of beginners that you won't need a fucking structured training program. Learn to squat well and learn to do it with intensity and like that, like no fucks given attitude. You will fucking grow. And imagine, like, bro, like 2 weeks ago when I trained with Psycho Lewis at Gold's Gym, a lot of you would know Psycho. He trains Mr. Olympia. Psycho put me through this workout, and it wasn't like what you guys imagine, which is like fucking Jillian Michaels jumping up and down and like crying type shit. This was like normal weight, but the intensity that man had on me, and like he would be like looking at my back, and he'd be like, "Nope, nope, right there, right there, right there, right there, keep it here, right there." Like it was just like these guys train like that. It's like their mind knows biomechanics so well. They can actually look at you and be like, "You're doing it wrong, right there, point right there." And dude, I got out of that workout. It was a 45-minute workout, I think, or an hour. I got out. I didn't want to fucking eat pizza. I didn't want to eat ice cream. I literally, for the first time in my life, I spent $13 at the food that Gold's Gym had, those prep meals that had like good chicken and good sweet potatoes and broccoli. And normally I would never do that, but that day my body wouldn't let me decide. It's like, bro, fucking eat right now, right now. Like I started thinking like that because he took me to church with that workout. And every time people, tell me that like they just can't seem to eat right, I'm like, your fucking training is like that of a baby. Like your body is not craving good nutrition because your training is shit. And you can be going to the gym and you can be doing those lateral fucking raises with like 5-pound dumbbells for 5 sets, but like you're not going there. So when you're not going there, your body doesn't have very big need to grow or to crave good nutrition. Like I just ate for breakfast, I was just telling Madison, I just ate ground beef and rice for breakfast. And there's nothing better in the world that I could have eaten. It felt so good because my training has been pushing the hell out of me and I crave good nutrition. I can't fuck around with pancakes anymore as much. Like,
I was craving a steak like crazy the other night. I'm like, oh my god, because I had run out of steak for my meal preps, and so I think I only had like chicken and like pork, and then I had like a really hard work, and I'm like, I just need some red meat. I need a fucking steak right now. My body was just dying for it, and I think, but that happened to us, to me and Bree, my girlfriend, when we were, I think we were at my mom's, and we hadn't had like, we weren't eating as much protein as we normally would, and we both like. We got these steaks and we ate them and we're like, oh my god, that was the most amazing thing I've ever eaten, because our body was just so hungry for it. It was so that it's so true. And one of the issues that people, especially beginners and intermediates too, honestly, even some advanced guys, but much less so, is being able to, you don't know what intensity is because you've never experienced it. And it's really hard to take a set to that place that we keep describing because you don't know what that place is. You think you are done. And as you, Mo, as you pointed out when you were listening to Tom's video, he's like, every time you think you have nothing left, you got 5 more. And then you got 5 more after that too. And that's kind of what it's like.
That was so gnarly.
You think you're done. You're like, oh my God, this hurts so much. There's no way I can do one more. But you got to think of it, of someone having a gun to your head or your loved one's head. You got to think of it as life or death. If you do not do this rep, you will die. And if you have that mindset where it's just do or die, you'll be able to do it. That's why you hear those stories of those moms just lifting cars to get their kid out, right? Like it's not, they don't do deadlifts and train for that shit. They just had to do it, right? And we have such a deeper potential than you're able to just kind of get on a conscious level. So you can push a lot farther than you think you can. And one of the ways I like to teach people this, it's a lot easier in person, but if you have a training partner, you can have them help you too, but using some, what I like to call intensity techniques, things that let you push farther, right? So things like, so you can do a set. Let's say you take it to what you think is failure, right? Let's say we're doing leg extensions. You do as many reps as you can. You're like, I can't do one more. And you can have a partner help you get a few more reps, right? These are called force reps. But the trick is your partner needs to be able to let you do the majority of it. They're doing just enough that the motion kind of stays nice and smooth. So you can do that. You can do what's called a rest pause. You take like 5 to 10 deep breaths, and then you do more. You can do a drop set. Everyone's familiar with the drop set. You drop the weight, do more till you can't. Drop the weight, do more till you can't. So there's all sorts of techniques, and there's a whole bunch more too. I like some more than others. And that's another thing. If you watch Tom, you watch when he does some of his accessory work, when he does his leg extensions, when he does his leg curls. First off, he's fucking tense as fuck and violent when he lifts that weight. The weight stack literally hits the top of the machine on the rails when he's doing his leg extensions, leg curls. It goes ding, 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 right? And then after he can't do that anymore, he has someone else come, gives him a couple extra reps, and then they grab it and pull against him, and he just holds it there. That's called an iso tension rep. That's another intensity technique. So after he's already gone to failure, he went to beyond failure with his so he's doing concentric, right? That's the raising portion. He already went beyond failure with a few forced reps that he wouldn't have been able to do by himself. Now he's going to, your isometrics, you're able to hold weight is stronger than your concentric strength. So then he takes that to failure by someone really pulling against him, and he's just trying to hold it there. And he tells them, kill me, harder, kill me, right? And he just fights them, and he fights them really hard, and that's the intensity. So you watch that video, you'll know what intensity is. And I recommend you can try just that one that he does. And there's a bunch more too, but just try that with someone, and then you'll get it. It's pushing yourself to that nth degree, and I guarantee you, after that set, you'll get up, you'll be out of breath, and you go, holy fucking damn. Because when you do that, it's the same thing with those squats, those heavyweight, high rep squats. That shit teaches you something about yourself. You see what you're really made out of. And it's more than just a physical endeavor. It's more than just a mental endeavor. It starts becoming a spiritual endeavor at that point. That's like looking inside yourself.
That's some manly shit right there.
What?
That's some manly shit right there.
Right. It's seeing what you're made of, man or woman. You know, it's seeing who the fuck am I when the shit's on the table, you know, when all the chips are down and, you know, it's on me. What the fuck can I do? Right.
No,
and
dude, 100%.
When you learn that, you can use it everywhere else in life too.
Oh, dude. And like I said manly, but what I really meant was masculine. So women have masculine energy. It's just like when they're like, men have feminine energy too, right? And it's just like, it's those energies that work, right? When you see a girl, like even at Arnold Classic, right? The one that's happening.
Arnold Classic, Arnold Brazil, Arnold Australia, Arnold South Africa. There's so many Arnold. But the Arnold Classic, the Ohio, yeah.
That's the one. I went there last year, but like seeing like some really strong powerlifting women lift that weight, dude, they had to tap into that masculine, because you don't just do that shit like with being a Barbie girl, right? Like that shit, and those girls do it. And guys, on the other hand, like when you are with your kids or when you're with your loved one, you have to turn on that feminine. So it's like, when I use the word manly pretty loosely here, but it's just like, yeah, like intensity. And you know what's funny, when I design training programs, I've been using like, because like as coaches, no one ever teaches you this, right? As trainers, no one ever teaches you this. But when you give a workout program, you gotta put yourself in the shoes of the client, and you gotta understand, what does a client see when you tell them to do 4 sets of 6 on leg extensions? They're just like, oh, bam, done with set 1, set 2, set 3, set 4, done. I'm done with my workout, yay. But like, if I would have just said 4 sets of 25 or 4 sets till failure, then I know I'll get so much juice out of that for them. They'll get so much more out of that workout. So it's like, that's like that fine balance between taking them to church, but also not killing them.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And on coaching, this is something I literally like just started doing, because I think it's way more work on my end, but it's so much more worth it. I changed the way I presented my programs, and basically like with almost everything, have a short little paragraph of what you're doing, like with details like, this is, we're warming up here, then one set, we want to be able to fail around whatever the reps I'm giving. This should be a really intense set, or this is just a warm-up set, we're going for a pump here, or whatever the thing is. I've been including some notes to really, like, so it's like I'm there talking and cueing them, and giving them what they should be focusing on, what their goal of that set is, which kind of goes back to our episode 2 stuff. It's like, well, this is what we're trying to accomplish with this set. This is where your mindset should be, so if it's one of those sets that you're taking to that nth level, or if it's just, a preparation set or what have you, why you're doing that exercise then stuff. Just a little bit of detail of that. And I've been seeing that be really helpful for people, because it just helps get them in the right frame. Yeah.
No, and the last thing I'll add before we move on to topic 2, and I'll get some more coffee because I'm running out. So, like, the point is, guys, like, intensity fucking matters. And a lot of you watching this, and I love our audience. Our audience is very science-driven. They read the literature. Some of them are craving for the truth. And when Karen or Katie watching this, who's an engineered muscle podcaster guest or like listener, they know that when fucking Susan, when she wears that, that trimmer, waist trimmer, or when that one bro at the gym is wearing, that, the guys with the stringers, stringer guys, they know that those guys are doing something that those guys don't know as much as our audience does. And then some of our audience members don't get the results that the other guys are getting. And guys, it literally comes down to this fucking intensity. Most of you are when you're on set 1, you're thinking about set 4. Fucking go all in on set 1. When you're done going all in on set 1, go to set 2. Every set, it's all about, like, in Rocky, when he teaches in the movie Creed, Rocky's teaching his mentee. He's like, 1 step at a time, 1 punch at a time, and 1 round at a time. And most of you forget that. Most of you are thinking about other shit in life, and that's why I recommend morning workouts to some of you. Like, in the evenings, you have too much shit going on. Your phone is blowing up. Your kid, you have to pick up your daughter from daycare. You got to go over to your in-laws, or you do this, you got to do that. That's why, like, morning workouts for some of you are highly recommended. Wake up early, go to the gym with a clear head, and fucking go to war with that shit. And when you start thinking like that, I promise you won't want to cheat when Susan brings donuts to work, because your body much rather would have a chicken breast with some salad and quinoa or some shit, like, and broccoli. Like, the intensity of your workouts will determine how your diet ends up. And once in a while, we all cheat. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having one or two of those meals. But at the end of the day, we want to create a lifestyle of intense people who get results. The last thing we want, guys, is us being all scientific and giving you all this information, and all of you turning out to be smaller than our competitors. Like, I don't know how to say it better, but I don't want our audience to feel overwhelmed and then get less results, or start thinking that they're so smart that a lot of rules don't even apply to them, and then their intensity in the gym goes like I get this message often, like, Mo, like, last night I got a message where it's like, yeah, like, Tom Platz is really going to town with that. That's not even necessary. And I'm like, show me your legs. Like, show me your legs, right? Like, a lot of the time, some of you are too smart to get your own best results. And sometimes you gotta be stupid and dumb and listen. And I struggled with that too, and that's why I'm talking about it openly. Like, me and Madison, we both went to school for Bachelor's of Science. We went through the grind, and when we graduated, we thought we knew better. I thought I knew better for sure. And now, me being someone who's always a learner and a student, I learned that it's not true. We don't know much better, and a lot of times the other guys are getting better results, or they're, crushing it, even though they know less. You realize it's not the matter of knowledge, it's the matter of execution. And when execution combined with knowledge, you're fucking dangerous. And that's what we're trying to create with this podcast.
Yeah, I think if you listen to all the episodes up to this point, I think you're starting to be able to apply some of what we've been talking about. And I think you keep doing what you've been doing up to this point. If you've been taking everything from this last 10 episodes and you've been applying it, give it some time, I guarantee you're already exiting that population and you're already starting to be having some pretty good results of your own. Yeah.
No, dude. So let's change the topic too, which is food sensitivities, and I know you're passionate about it. So
yeah.
why don't you get started? I'll get some coffee, and I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Yeah, cool. So the second topic we wanted to talk about today was, often we are talking about what foods to eat, how much of these foods, and people also often identify, some people identify them as these are good foods and bad foods. And while that's not 100% the case, what's also never really talked about, but it's something that's almost inherently known by a lot of cultures, but it's kind of been forgotten at this point, is food preparation. How you prepare your food really changes how it can affect your body. So in a lot of different ways, it can affect some people who have food sensitivities, such as people who have gluten sensitivities, for instance. If they eat a regular piece of bread, or they eat pasta, or whatever these wheat-containing things are with gluten, they get bad indigestion. They have a lot of bloating. They get a lot of inflammation, and they just feel really sick. Yet you serve these same people a properly prepared sourdough bread. So this is something I've been doing myself recently. I've been doing a lot of home baking and just baking sourdough breads with using a culture or starter I cultivated myself, and I feed people that who have gluten sensitivities, and they have no problem with it. People are usually like, I always feel sick after I bread. Eat this, and I feel great. So the preparation of how you prepare your food can have a really big effect. Also, also on blood sugar, right? Having things with cinnamon, right? Before you have something that's carbs helps your body better regulate your blood sugar and your insulin sensitivity and how you react with that. And
really? I did not know that.
Oh yeah. Other so also like bitter melon, berberine are also some things, but like a lot of, so this is like, so you'll be able to relate to this, a lot of South Asian food, right, and Indian and Pakistani, and where we have this rich spice culture. Those spices were used for medicinal purposes in addition to food, and the food was also the medicine, right? So curries weren't just, oh, this tastes really great. That's kind of how we think about it now, because they do, but they were also kind of formulated because, oh, this really helps with, this makes it so that you don't get gas from the paneer, right? So normally we have this dairy, and you're getting gas, and you're not really sensitive. But we put these spices with it. You put this fennel with it. You don't get that, right? So these certain spices help aid the digestion, help aid the assimilation, and help you get different effects, and makes the food almost into medicine. Turmeric is anti-inflammatory, but it needs to be paired with black pepper, right? And when you have curries, oftentimes those will be paired together, right? Ginger is really good for your digestion, right? So these things kind of already exist. And then when it comes to like your meat, people used to, especially it's kind of lost now in our current system with the grocery store, but what organ meats people used to eat. Eating the sweetbreads is really good for your thymus. Eating the liver is super good for your whole body because it has so many nutrients. And all these various organs, they used to know which ones were good for what purpose. But also back to the preparation, also like when you're making your meat, like if you do a stew, right, and you do something that's a slow cook, and it really lets all the collagens break down, lets the bones kind of dissolve and like go with some of their nutrients, you can get so much more out of it. That's why bone broth is so popular today, right? Bone broth is so great for your joints and stuff. It has all this collagen and all these minerals, and it's really good for your bones and your joints. But like a lot of this stuff is how you prepare your food. So if you're always preparing your food in the very same way, where you're buying a lot of processed food, you lose out on a lot of benefits that you could be getting from your food, and also how you're reacting
Give
to
me
your
an
food.
example of processed food that people buy.
I mean, I don't know, Pop-Tarts. People buy everything. I don't know. Everything's a process. Unless it's on the outside of the grocery store, it's a processed food, typically speaking. I mean, there's ones around the edges too, but it's definitely, if anything inside, it doesn't need to be refrigerated. It's processed, right? Unprocessed food is just a food in its whole state, right? So, an apple, a pepper, a piece of meat. Something that nothing's really been done to it.
So it's safe to say that you're not a vegan.
No.
Got it. I needed that clarification. That's another one. I'll just touch on that for a quick hot second. So all my vegan friends talk shit about a lot of things. And then they consume things that are very processed. Very processed. And I'm just like, that just negates the purpose, doesn't it? But
well, a lot of vegans, the things that vegans too, like vegans don't always, like, depending on who you ask, vegans don't do vegan because it's healthy. That's how vegan started. Vegan was because, they have, for ethical reasons, which the ethics of that is kind of actually bad. But anyways, without getting into ethics, like, the diet isn't healthy. And then somewhere along the way, the propaganda, and combined with a couple other, like, misnomers through the industry, we're like, oh, meat's bad and this is bad, and so this is healthy, and plant food is healthy. No, there's plenty. Just saying that animal products are bad and plant products are healthy is first off so wrong, because there's so many poisonous plants. There are more poisonous plants than there's poisonous animals. There's so many toxic plants, right? So just because it's a plant doesn't mean it's good. A. B. Some of the nastiest shit we have in our diet and in our food system right now are plant derived. Things like vegetable oils, soy oil, corn oil, canola oil. These things are fucking toxic. They're super, super processed with all sorts of chemicals, and they're so bad for you. They are so rich in omega-6s. They're so inflammatory. They're like, when you talk heart problems, you talk inflammation, you talk arthritis, these are key. Right, some of the most toxic stuff there is. So just saying that plants are healthy isn't really true.
And the thing about plants is that, and the thing about animals, so if you look at, I always love to look at things with evolutionary perspective. So if you look at animals, right, like a lot of animals are strong. A lot of animals have like horns. So they have these like defense mechanisms to beat off a predator. Plants didn't, and plants' only defense mechanism was poison.
But that's not true. That's not true. They do have defense mechanisms, and some of them are making you sick.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm going for. So they have like, they don't beat you up. They don't beat you up, but right, they have these toxins and poisons that can actually fuck you up. And so like by now, I guess, like, we're so advanced that we know which plants are like have toxins and can hurt you and which ones don't. But even then, actually, this Christopher Walker, he wrote a book on testosterone. Amazing guy. He the first time, he was the one who told me that, and I at that, until like a year ago, I didn't even think of plants that way, and he made me realize that. He's like, yeah, like exactly what you were saying. Like, plants have toxins, and they have those things that's their defense mechanism, because every species on this planet, including plants, their goal is survival. There's a reason, guys, I'm going to get a little dirty with you, but there's a reason you all have sex drive. It's because human species need to keep reproducing, and that's it. Like, that's the reason everyone gets married. That's the reason we make babies. Like, that's the reason the whole society works. And in the eyes of evolution, you only have one purpose in life, and that is to reproduce. That's it, guys. Don't overcomplicate this shit again. But second, that big part of why all of you guys want more muscle and all of you want more six-pack abs and more lean gains is because so you can actually mate with someone who's healthy and have a higher chance of reproducing a healthy species going forward. Am I right or right?
And the women are looking for those big jack guys because those are healthy men, right? In order to, especially evolutionarily, if you were a guy who was big and strong, It means your testosterone was working. It means your balls are working. It means the baby's going to grow up bigger and stronger and be more likely to be like the father, more capable of survival, right? So those are whether some women will often in today's age kind of get kind of lost on the muscle thing, and you'll hear different opinions. But when they're kind of face to face with them, the opinion variance kind of goes down a lot. Like when you look at pictures,
It does.
person, it's totally different. Because I've seen women, like, you'll show them pictures of like really big muscles and they're like, ew, that's gross. And like you hear that nowadays, but I've never ever seen that happen when they're in front of them. When they're in front of them, their whole demeanor changes, because it's not when you see when they see the picture, they're thinking about it. And when they're thinking about it, it's in their brain, and it's like they rationalize it very different, and it's culturally based. But when they're in person, they're not thinking about it. It's subconscious. It's wired into our DNA. Just like when straight men see like a butt or tits, they're like, I want to fuck, right? They're just stupid it's just in your guts, right? So
I love that we went
there too.
We should do a whole episode on this, but let's stick to the food sensitivities.
We should. That's a good episode. But get back to the plant poisons. So also some of these plant defenses are actually healthy for us too. Some of those are really good life extension things, and things that are really good for combating our stress. And some of those things that are plant mechanisms were also what I was talking about with the spice. But some of them are some things that we don't want. Like so beans and legumes, for instance, and in seeds have things to stop them from growing, stop them from germinating until it's time to grow, until they're in fertile soil and there's sun and they're ready to grow. So there's things that bind up these things, and they act as anti-nutrients, and like we have phytic acid and some grains, and these aren't good for us, and they inhibit our absorption of various minerals and vitamins, and some of them even proteins, I believe. But changing how you prepare them changes that, right? So this goes back to the food preparation. So soaking beans, soaking legumes, doing that, or fermenting things, right? When you ferment there's different preparations, and these preparations either add nutritional value or make more nutritional value available, or take away some negative value. So that's just kind of going back into how food preparation can really think about how your food is prepared, and it's going to take some research on your part too, kind of understand some of the more in-depth ones. But like I gave a couple examples today, like the sourdough, like a slow cultured, full cultured bread versus something made with industrial yeast, and how it's a higher protein content, there's a higher mineral content, there's more vitamins in there because of the cultures. It's so much more healthy. Oh, you there? You look frozen.
I'm there.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah,
I thought your screen froze.
I'm listening.
But there's so much more nutritional content, and then you also don't have that gluten problem that you had for some reason, right? So there's a difference there. There's like I just said, the beans and legumes, if you soak them first. Also other seeds like that too. If you give them like a day or two to soak and then dry them back out, they're going to behave very differently on your digestion. When you're slow cooking things with bones and joints for collagen and broth. What was the other one? Fermentations. Fermentations, some people are a little afraid to do themselves, but you can buy fermented products, right? So like buying a kimchi or sauerkraut, that changes the properties. That's also, you're also getting some of that bacteria into you, and it's beneficial bacteria in most cases. I had one more, but I'm forgetting what I said already.
It sounds like a lot of fucking work, bro. That sounds really good.
Well, it's another one of those steps. It's something to be aware of right now, and you don't necessarily have to do everything, but awareness comes first. If you're not aware of something, you got to plant that seed first for it to grow, right? If you don't know of anything's existence, you're never going to progress with it. So it's good to know about things. And then, because then next time you see something, you'll be just kind of doing whatever, and you'll see, an article about whatever, about sourdough, or an article about soaking your legumes. And you go, I remember something about that. And you'll go look, right? Because you know a little bit more now, and you've been exposed. And I'm really just trying to expose this right now. I don't want to go. I'm not trying to go into a super detail, but I just wanted to kind of discuss it along with the what and the when. Talk a little bit about the how.
I love that. No, I love that. Today we talked about two topics that are often neglected: intensity and food preparation. And yeah, and I think like just making you, I feel like the first half of the episode was super valuable, and so was the second half, because without intensity, you're not gonna like make the most use of your time in the gym. Because let's be honest, guys, most of you work a desk job. Most of you are living a pretty sedentary lifestyle, and then you go to the gym and you pay your dues for 40 minutes, but that intensity is at barely 40%. You're not even like making the most out of those 40 minutes at the gym. So just saying that you go to the gym for 40 minutes tells me nothing, because you could be on your Instagram the entire time. And it's like going there. So intensity is super important. And then just be realizing that the way you prepare your food, the things that you eat are important. And the way, especially the preparation that Madison was talking about, I am even a beginner to that. Like, I prepare foods like they normally do, like the old bodybuilding diets. That's what I eat. Maybe it's the best, but my food choices are also pretty good. I eat high quality meats. I eat high quality stuff. But the point being is like being
That also
aware.
goes back to the preparation. I didn't really talk about this, and I'm not going to go into it now. But the same thing that I'm saying about how you prepare it, it's also how you source it, right? You eating high quality meats and high quality vegetables and carbs, and how those are prepared is also having a downstream effect. Because sometimes people that have problems with stuff, it's more specific than it's, oh, I have a problem with beef. Well, it's not that you have a problem with beef. You just have a problem with the corn fed or whatever. You have a problem with such and such thing. It's not that thing as a whole. It's that specific way you're getting.
100%. So just be aware of that, and you guys know where to find us. So engineermuscle1@gmail.com. Send us questions, send us feedback, let us know who do you want to be a guest on our podcast. We would love to have, we are pretty booked all along, and we have a lot of people that we want on here, and we're just reaching out to give you guys the most valuable content in the industry. And based on like the last 10 episodes, and most of you who are listening, you guys know us in person as well. So you guys know we're all about science. We're all about practical science, practical knowledge, and how to make the most out of it. I feel like Madison and I we're like the fitness coaches in 2019, but our souls are old school. And the fact that we were born in this century, we have a really strong science backgrounds, so we're able to like combine the two. And yeah, bro, I don't know if I ever told you, but there's very few people I really vibe with on this shit than you. So like there's something so powerful about combining the two. And I think most people don't know enough to combine the two, because it's definitely a knowledge gap. It's definitely a learning curve for a lot of people to really excite. And now I'm going to go on a little off tangent for just 2 seconds, but like I have been fascinated by mastery. Like most of you are, if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, you guys know the guys or girls who are the very best at what they do. The very best, the masters, the ones who have 20, 30 years under their belt. When I see those guys in fitness, when I see those guys in medicine, when I see those guys in engineering, or even like in motivational speaking like Tony Robbins, dude, I get goosebumps. I love seeing masters play their best. And now like with Engineered Muscle, like it's just been like observing a lot of those old school masters and realizing, holy fuck, we can learn so much from them. And that's the knowledge I want all of you to be equipped with via this podcast, because I don't think there's any other podcast who talks like we talk, especially on these topics.
Yeah. So make sure you guys subscribe to get all that content, to hear how to bridge the gap of science and bro science, and maximizing all your results. Make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment down below, hit the bell if you're on YouTube. If you're on one of our other platforms, leave us comments, like, and also share us with your friends and help us reach more people with this knowledge, so that we can help everybody out and help everybody get some much better gains, healthier and more effectively.
So that's what we do here at Engineer Muscle Podcast. All right, guys, till next time.